All right, we are going to get started with the Salt Lake County Council District 1 race between ARLYN Bradshaw and Richard Barnes. For those of you who are just joining us, the questions have been submitted by Westside constituents to the League of Women Voters of Salt Lake City and the Westside Coalition. This is a Q&A format where the questions are up to 4. In this case, we have a few questions here, 2 questions. They are limited to response to about 1 minute. And let's see, in this particular race, due to the empty chair policy, the League and Westside Coalition have opted for a modified format. Candidates have been provided the 2 questions and asked to provide a response, plus share a quote. And so we are going to begin with these questions. I'm going to read the questions because we have a videotaped response from ARLYN Bradshaw, and then we will of course ask the same questions of Richard Barnes. But the first question will be, what will you do or are you doing to address the affordable housing crisis in Salt Lake County? What actions would you take to make these solutions more equitable throughout the county? The second question being asked of both candidates, how could you manage growth responsibly given the limits of our natural resources, i.e. water airshed, sensitive ecosystems, and open space? And finally, a quote that reflects your beliefs, values, or priorities, or maybe someone who inspired you, maybe to get into public service. We are going to start with the videotaped responses provided by ARLYN Bradshaw and then proceed to ask these directly to Richard Barnes.
So in the county's most recent budget process, I advocated and voted for $27.5 million in federal American Rescue Plan dollars to go to housing. $20 million of that was for the Housing Trust Fund to expand the number of affordable housing units. $6 million was for affordable units for those who are unsheltered with high medical needs. And another $1.5 million was to expand the Green and Healthy Homes initiative that benefit our low-income neighbors. The county still has tens of millions of these federal dollars available, and I'm committed to advocating more of these dollars be dedicated to the affordable housing crisis. This funding is a unique opportunity to create transformational change around our housing challenges, and I'm committed to making that happen. Additionally, I believe in equitable zoning that makes housing affordable and available across the region rather than heavily concentrated in select neighborhoods. And we need to also have a focus on ensuring density and opportunity around transit access. Responsible growth requires all levels of government to work together to plan for our future. We need smart, comprehensive water policy and air quality initiatives, not just in Salt Lake City, really not just in the county. It needs to be statewide, and we need to work regionally across the Intermountain West. I believe we should continue to devote resources to protecting our watershed in the Wasatch. We, of course, need to preserve the Great Salt Lake and protect sensitive ecosystems, and, of course, continue to improve our air quality. Additionally, our parks and open spaces are critical for quality of life for our residents and preserving the habitats for our local ecosystem. I have been a champion for preserving critical natural areas, and I will continue to push for preservation of open spaces and expansion and improvements of our public parks. I believe the county should explore doing another round of parks and open space bonds because we are at a critical juncture where we must preserve dwindling open space to ensure future generations will be able to enjoy a strong quality of life in our valley. So I love that we were asked for a quote that is always in the back of my mind as I'm making policy decisions actually comes from former Vice President Hubert Humphrey, and it goes, "It was once said that the moral..."
All right, now we will pose these same questions to Richard Barnes, who is here with us. So, Mr. Barnes, what will you do or are you doing to address the affordable housing crisis in Salt Lake County? What actions would you take to make these solutions more equitable throughout the county?
Good evening. I would let the free market prevail. One person works harder than another to earn housing, let them have the housing, not based on someone else's decision. I've been speaking with the homeless people directly. One thing we can do to address homelessness, let's have camps with about 100 each and charge $3 per person per night to provide water, a tent space, maybe use some of the parking lots at night with a designated space in them. Let's do low-cost, self-sustaining things, and we shouldn't have Salt Lake City shouldering it alone. Where are the places in Mill Creek, the homeless shelters, Draper? Let's have it for everybody. Take care of your own homeless. Don't send them here for us to take care of. And let's expand tourism. That is our number one industry, so we have jobs, so people are not unemployed.
Thank you. Next question for you, sir. How can you manage growth responsibly given the limits of our natural resources, i.e. water, airshed, sensitive ecosystems, and open space? 1 minute.
We live in an area, the Great Basin, before the coming of European settlers, had about 30,000 people in it. We're attempting to accommodate probably well over 2 million in this area. Let's keep the density down. I like living in Rose Park with our lower density than other parts of the city. I want to maintain that as a low, R1 type area, single family dwellings. I like our bus system we've got. They finally got decent numbers on it so you understand where they're going with a great route. I think that's going to make our part of the community an excellent place of choice to live, with the routes going nonstop to the U. Tourism is real important. If I weren't here, I'd be over at Comic-Con helping with Kids Heroes and many other community projects. Let's support the arts. Thank you.
All right, and lastly, sir, can you share a quote or that reflects your beliefs, values, or priorities, or maybe somebody who inspired you, maybe somebody who inspired you to get into public service? 15 seconds, please.
Scotland forever. From the Declaration of Abro. For as long as but 100 of us remain alive, never will we on any conditions be brought under English or any other tyrannical dominion. It is in truth not for glory, nor riches, nor honors that we are fighting, but for freedom, for that alone, which no honest man gives up but with life itself. Declaration of Abro, April 6, 1320. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give our candidates a round of applause. Mr. Barnes will, of course, be available downstairs to answer any additional questions you have. Thank you very much. We'll take a brief break. Salt Lake County Council at-large seat B is up next. Suzanne Harrison and Richard Snellgrove. Thank you.